I'm so excited. It's a wonderful day and I've organised my kitchen. So what better time to show you what I've done? Now, there are 3 statements that have never been said in the history of the universe. I have too many clamps, I have too many 3D printers, and I have too much kitchen storage. Well, today I'm going to show you some awesome and unique free ideas that will massively increase your storage without even having to rip the whole place apart. I'm going to show you how you can implement loads of cool, techie concepts into your kitchen to make it just that little bit awesome. Smart home tech, nerd principles, and home crafting. Where else do you get such a bonkers mix? I remember making this kitchen as I renovated the house. I was actually in the mud, in the foundations under my feet. And they're amazing rooms, really. When you do the electrics, the plumbing, the tiling, the cabinet fitting and more, well, you realise that 80% of your house complexity is actually in the kitchen. Think of your bedroom, your dining room, your lounge. Basically, they're just rectangles with a few power sockets in them. But kitchens, well, they're rammed with complexity. We've got sockets all over the place, high power sockets behind the ovens. Then you have water supplies, hot and cold for your sinks. You've got your boiling water taps, your dishwashers, you've got washing machines. Then all this needs waste pipes too to vent the water. Then you have masses of inbuilt appliances like your cooker, your hob, your microwave, your fridge. And I've not even started on all the food in the cupboards. They are immensely complex rooms, so it's no surprise that they're such a challenge to keep ordered and always short of space. Now I hope you've got your gin ready, because let's get started on a tour through how I've introduced my home organisation standards. Now you do need to check out my other video if you don't know what I'm talking about, because you'll see lots of the systems in use in this video, and I'll assume that you know what they are. This kitchen has been developed with the 4 organisational systems. French cleats hold up everything with any heavy duty weights. NeoGrid organises the larger pots and pans, and Gridfinity tackles all the small bits and bobs, and Multiboard hangs on the vertical surfaces. I've built some custom solutions where there are awkward shapes as well to just truly maximise every inch. This results in a totally gridified kitchen, which allows incredible agility in its layout. And more importantly, I don't ever need to worry about getting it right. I can just try things and move them back if it doesn't work. This is fluid design for kitchens. Oh, firstly, fridges are total messes of UX. You know, they used to have full extension drawer slides back in the 1930s, and now we have these rubbish drawers and blocked off shelves. To tackle this, these IKEA Snorad turntables are awesome. And as they're rectangular, you don't actually lose much space, but you gain masses of access to everything. I highly recommend them. You'll see I've added some custom Gridfinity grids that perfectly fit them, and this allows me to better group and organise things. I wouldn't recommend putting anything wet or soggy, obviously, in these, but as a tip, you can just get some spray lacquer, and if you coat them, then they become smooth and wipeable. Everything across the kitchen has been labelled with my awesome label printer, and I'll add a link to that now that I've finally found one that works perfectly. It's really great as well because if you've got wet fingers, it's a thermal printer so it doesn't smudge or anything. Brilliant. You'll see that I've made all the fresh fruit deliberately highly accessible, while sweets and less healthy stuff is hard to reach. This just creates a subtle behavioural nudge to encourage eating the fruit and not the nasty stuff. This works really well. Almost too well. Next, here's these pull-out larders. They're terrible in their default state as they really don't maximise the space at all well. In fact, I found that most of this was actually air. So I created these 3D printed shells that slot perfectly into the larder baskets, including all these funny bumps and grooves. And this has massively increased the space, like enormously. I've got 3 cupboards by doing this. And as you can see, I can totally pack this with herbs and spices. And this is so great to be able to see all my spices at a glance. Now, in terms of categorizing, yes, we're talking spice ontologies. You can group them in 3 different ways for different results. So you can do alphabetical, which is great to help find that spice. By cuisine is great for creating variety within a style. You might use, say, 5 spice and ginger all the time with your Chinese food. But if the star anise is right next to it, then it acts as a little creative nudge. The final way is by flavour profiles. So put the spices and the earthy flavours and so on together. And this allows real creativity, which breaks all the traditions. There's obviously no right or wrong way, and you can change whenever you like. Kitchen design that welcomes change. Right, let's move on to the baking cupboard. Now, cupboards are often a challenge because the depth means that all the stuff at the back gets totally lost. But I have fixed that by moving the front layer to the door. I've got all these small niggly things neatly stored on the door, and it's all thanks to these amazing shells from David D that convert multi-board to Gridfinity. You'll have seen these before in my craft room tour. But even more exciting is that both these and the food colouring holders have been parameterised by another one of my Discord members, the legendary, the awesome Blackjack Duck, aka Andy. These are so cool. I've used them for my model paints in my craft room as well. So click the link in the description or I will come and find you. But all this means is that I can move shelves around at any time I want and move stuff from the drawer to the cupboard at the blink of an eye. I can't tell you how much better it is to have it in this layout. I'm so excited, it's just so much easier. I can access everything in the cupboard in seconds. It's awesome. And I put all of the big stuff in one layer inside the cupboard itself. Now, by moving things from the cupboard to the door, you can't fill the cupboard up as much because the content on the door moves into that space when you close the door. But this is actually very helpful because it forces the items in the cupboard to be laid out in a single layer, which means that I can see the entire contents of my cupboard at a glance without having to dig around at the back. You'll notice how I've gone with a clean and consistent 3D print colour across my whole kitchen. None of these chaotic noise of colours that you often see. This is basic UX. Let the item pop. There's a reason more or less every website has a white background because it lets the content stand out. So I use white as my backgrounding colour because I have a white kitchen. But you should use a colour that matches your kitchen and the surface that you'll be attaching the multi-board to. This frees contrasting colours to signal and alert. So you'll notice also that I have covered the back of this cupboard in red vinyl. This is a handy cognitive prompt to alert me when something is running low. So the more red I can see, the closer my flour is to running into the danger zone of emptiness. You will be amazed at how well this works to automatically remind you to buy the missing item. But I'll return to this shortly because I've got a smart solution to ensure I actually act upon this prompt. And I should say before anyone asks, Elegoo kindly sent me some more white PLA for this video. But I have bought literally hundreds of reels of Elegoo over the years. And I genuinely can't think of anything that I could possibly say I've tested and loved more, as my patrons will know. It is my go-to FDM filament for anything. They have amazing prices and it's flawlessly reliable, but there's something different about their filament quality that I really like. It shows when you're peeling off the little purge lines from your printer. Because I've noticed that some brands are really flaky and brittle, but Elegoo always holds its shape beautifully and cleanly. I'm sure there's some material scientists out there who can explain to me what they do. And if you're one of those people, please comment below. But I love this stuff. Now let's move to the baking drawers. Now these are always particularly tricky drawers because the size and shapes of the objects are weird and wonderful, and it constantly changes. So here's where Gridfinity comes into its own as the standard for modular organisation, with an amazing array of parts and options. There are so many generators out there that you can just enter the sizes, add options like labels, scoops and more in seconds, and bang, you've got a 3D print. I'm always getting new baking gadgets, so this means that I can always be flexible and adapt to whatever I'm playing with next. Like a 3D chocolate printer. Does anyone know of a good chocolate 3D printer? Because I really want one. Now let's just sweep across to the very centre of Britishness, the tea cupboard. Now here I've actually blended a wooden rack that I built many years ago for spices actually, with some 3D printed little containers which I'm now going to hold tea bags in. Now you might not think this looks very exciting because it's quite empty, but that's the point. Only a week ago, this was stuffed full of spices and things that I could not access. And now, look at all this space that I've got to fill with treats. But sometimes I need something harder. And because this is starting to take its effect on me, I think we'll teleport to the next location. My drinks cupboard. Again, the door holds loads of storage, but it's also such a better way of making all of these cool gadgets and silly ideas visible. Again, a little nudge to encourage creativity. As my Patreons will know, this design significantly encourages my imbibing of cocktails. Now let's move to the dreaded pan drawer. Now these are always inefficient messes, as all the handles just get in the way. So surely the best solution is not to have handles in the first place. Now I've had these Ingenio Tefal ones for years, where the handle is separate from the pan. But I think there are similar ones now, like IKEA do them. Now you've got NeoGrid here, which is nicely separating all the various items. So even the small things like the temperature probes can be super quickly accessed. You'll notice around the kitchen how this lets me group items where I need them. So temperature probes are right by the pans that I use them with. And if we dart over here to the tin cupboard, this has the tin openers there. Path shortening in action. Now, there are some places where what I originally made is absolutely perfect. These oak dividers remain perfect for this drawer because ultimately, knives and forks haven't changed shape in the last 100 years. So this is an example where a relatively static design can work fine. Doing this myself allowed me to really max out the space in the drawer, which works great. Likewise, in the drawer below, you'll see it has a massive amount of storage for all the knives that I might need. Okay, brace yourself guys, because you are about to enter the hellhole of every home. The under sink storage. What you can see here is that I have laser cut out of acrylic some shelves which perfectly fit around all the pipes to maximise the space. And the beauty of this is that I can see through these acrylic shelves into the layer below. So here I have some bin bags. I have some rubber gloves and cloth here as well. And I'm holding this all together with some 3D printed corners. And of course, on the doors, I'm increasing storage even more with the modular multi-board. But if I can show you one more cupboard as a counterpoint, you don't need to over-engineer. This plates cupboard is actually pretty well optimised. All I did here was add extra shelves to really allow lots more, but anything extra would likely be unnecessary. Now, of course, I've added some smart tech in here as well, and it is very cheap and brilliant. I've added these labels to all of the common food items in my kitchen. And this is no ordinary label, because if I run out of carrots, I can simply tap my phone on this label and it will automatically add carrots to my shopping list via Home Assistant. And this goes back to the red vinyl I was talking about earlier. I don't just want to prompt myself that the flour is low. I actually want to remove as much friction as possible to me actually taking action and putting that on the shopping list. It's only pennies to make on the 3D printer. I just set a pause point, added a magnet and an RFID tag, continued the print, and this is the result. Brilliant, and I just love it. Hey, you know in banks where they have those panic buttons under the table in case of emergency? Well, I've got my own panic button under here, and mine calls in my S10 to mop the floor in an emergency. Or maybe not just emergencies. I'm now in the habit of sweeping all the bits off the worktop onto the floor because I know the S10 will do such a good job. Hey, I've got cocktails to make. Ooh, I have to show you this dinky little water quality tester. It's by Cactoily, and I've been testing it with my Patreons, and I'm going to do a video on it, but I'll add a link to the description because I love it. It's changed my coffee making habits, and my coffee is now tasting a lot cleaner. There's also some cool crafty things that I've made. So the laser cutter has let me make some cool coffee pattern sprinklers. So you can create a set of these for lots of things. For example, to mark how many sugars someone has, or people's names, or random logos, and more. I also have a little spaghetti measurer, as I'm prone to cooking way too much spaghetti, or more disappointingly, way too little spaghetti for evening meals. Oh, and tactical meat temperatures. I can never remember all the temperatures for the meat, so this lets me get it perfectly every time. So all of this then comes together and we've got an agile kitchen that flows and adapts as you do, which means you can spend more time doing what you love, whether that's baking, cooking, or making cocktails. So while I finish cooking, you can tell me what's the best chocolate 3D printer or any other cool ideas that you've got. And as always, I'll add everything to the description for you to download and use yourself. Sorry? You want to see some kitchen porn shots? Cue the outro.